Forbidden history, the untold story of humanity's beginning. What if everything we believed about the origins of humanity is only part of the story? What if the familiar narrative taught in Sunday schools, debated in academic halls, and preserved in ancient scriptures merely scratches the surface of a far deeper, more mysterious truth? Tonight, we embark on a journey into forbidden territory, a quest to uncover the hidden layers beneath humanity's beginning. Within the oldest texts lie clues that challenge the accepted understanding of human history. The traditional tale tells us that God created the heavens and the earth, then formed Adam, the first human, from dust and placed him in a perfect garden. It's a simple, clear, and complete story. But what if that simplicity conceals a more complex reality? What if Adam was not the first human to walk the earth? What if others existed alongside him, beyond the borders of Eden? This isn't a fringe conspiracy or mere speculation. Rather, it's an invitation to read ancient texts afresh, to engage with their original languages, and to wrestle with questions that scholars have pondered for millennia. Questions that might profoundly alter how we see our place within the cosmos. This journey promises to be challenging. It may unsettle long-held convictions and force us to rethink assumptions never before questioned. But by the end, you will have a fuller, richer understanding of human origin's profound mystery. You will not simply know the story, you will understand the depths beneath it. So, prepare yourself to embrace a narrative far beyond ancient history, one that holds the key to who we truly are. Forbidden history, re-examining the origins of humanity. Imagine that everything you've been taught about humanity's beginning is only a fragment of a far more intricate story. The familiar narrative, God creating Adam and Eve as the first humans residing in a perfect garden, is widespread, taught in schools, discussed in academia, and echoed in ancient scriptures. Yet, what if this tale only scratches the surface? We often accept this straightforward story without questioning the possibility that other humans might have existed concurrently with Adam and Eve, or that other events unfolded alongside their narrative. This isn't mere speculation or fringe theory. It arises from a close study of ancient texts, linguistic nuances, and scholarly debates spanning millennia. At the heart of this challenge is the recognition that the origins of humanity might be more diverse and layered than the traditional account suggests. The texts hint at a world where humanity's beginnings were complex, placing Adam not simply as the first biological human, but potentially as the first chosen spiritual representative. This perspective invites us to explore humanity's origin not just biologically, but theologically and cosmically, reshaping our understanding of our place within the universe. Embarking on this journey means confronting long-held beliefs and being open to revelations that might transform your understanding of human existence. Preparing to see beyond the accepted narratives, we dive into the forbidden history of humanity's origins, an exploration not just into ancient events, but into the profound mystery of who we truly are. When we closely examine the opening chapters of Genesis, an intriguing observation emerges. The text offers not one, but two distinct creation accounts. These narratives differ so significantly that traditional views often struggle to harmonize them as merely varying perspectives of a single event. The first account in Genesis 1 unfolds like a grand cosmic overview. It takes us on a majestic journey through 6 days, wherein order and life come forth from primordial chaos. Light is separated from darkness, waters divided, lands appear, plants and animals flourish, and finally, humanity is created male and female, both bearing God's image. This version emphasizes humanity collectively, highlighting the universal dignity and purpose bestowed upon mankind as a whole, without focusing on specific individuals or places. Conversely, Genesis 2 shifts to a more intimate portrayal. Here, the narrative zooms into the crafting of one particular man, named Adam, formed from the dust and given life through God's breath. This Adam is placed in the Garden of Eden, a specifically located sanctuary, to fulfill a precise role. Animals are brought to him afterward, and subsequently, from his rib, a woman is fashioned. The sequence and focus starkly contrast with the first account, suggesting distinct events rather than a simple elaboration. Moreover, the language used in the Genesis 2 narrative introduces nuanced meanings. The Hebrew word for, or avid, extends beyond mere agricultural labor to encompass service, worship, and priestly duties, implying that Adam's role was not solely as a gardener but as a priest, a mediator between the divine and earthly realms within Eden seen as a cosmic temple. This duality in the creation stories invites readers to reconsider the traditional understanding of humanity's origin, suggesting that while Genesis 1 presents the creation of humanity at large, Genesis 2 introduces the unique appointment of a singular individual for a divine purpose. Recognizing these complementary but separate narratives opens the door to a richer theological insight into the beginnings of human history and vocation. Adam's role extends far beyond that of a mere gardener. He was appointed as a priestly figure within the sacred confines of Eden. The Hebrew text reveals that the purpose behind Adam's formation was not simply because no humans existed, but rather because there was a need for someone to serve a distinct function, to tend and guard a specific, holy space. This is highlighted by the use of the Hebrew word, avet, which encompasses meanings such as to work, serve, minister, and worship, terms closely associated with priestly duties in the temple. Adam was thus ordained to be a mediator between heaven and earth, a steward of the cosmic temple that Eden represented. Here, Eden was not only a lush garden, but a sanctuary where the divine presence uniquely dwelled, and Adam's responsibility was to maintain the sanctity of that sacred space. This priestly role underscored his spiritual significance as the chosen representative of humanity, tasked with maintaining the relationship between the divine and human realms. His formation from the dust, expressed with the Hebrew word yatzar, suggests a deliberate, intimate crafting by God, akin to an artisan shaping clay, emphasizing Adam's unique calling rather than simply being the first human biologically. This priestly identity defines Adam's narrative as that of a devoted servant entrusted with a cosmic mission, setting the foundation for humanity's sacred vocation. The question of others outside Eden. One of the more intriguing aspects of the early human narrative emerges from the story of Cain after he kills his brother Abel and is banished from God's presence. Cain utters a perplexing statement, "Whoever finds me will kill me." At this point in the traditional telling, the only people alive should be Adam, Eve, Cain, and the now deceased Abel. So, who exactly is Cain referring to? Who are these others that he fears, these individuals who might seek to harm him? Moreover, as Cain departs and settles in the land of Nod, the narrative records that he takes a wife, fathers a child, and builds a city. The notions of finding a spouse and constructing a city imply the existence of a broader community beyond the boundaries of Eden. Would it make sense for Cain to build a city, yet there were only a handful of people in the world? Who were the inhabitants of this city, and from where did they come? For centuries, traditional explanations have suggested that Adam and Eve produced many other children who are not mentioned explicitly in the text, and that Cain's wife was possibly one of his sisters. However, this raises questions about why such uncommon and significant details would go unmentioned or unexplained in an ancient narrative intended for a broader audience. Might the text instead be subtly acknowledging a reality that has often been overlooked, that there were indeed other people existing outside of Eden? This possibility gains even more weight when we consider the dual creation accounts in Genesis. Genesis 1 describes the broad creation of humanity, male and female together, after the animals, without specifying names or places, while Genesis 2 narrows the focus to the intimate formation of a single man, Adam, assigned a particular role within Eden. Could it be that while Adam and Eve were the specific figures established within the sacred space of the garden, other humans populated regions beyond this special location? In this view, humanity's early history was always more complex and expansive than the familiar, enclosed story. The Bible itself leaves room for a greater human family existing apart from the covenant relationship centered in Eden. Cain's fear and the presence of a city in Nod provide tantalizing evidence for this wider reality. Understanding this broader human context challenges conventional perspectives, but also enriches our grasp of the biblical narrative, revealing a world where diverse peoples and cultures flourished alongside this sacred covenant community. It invites us to reconsider how we view human origins, acknowledging both the particular calling of Adam's family and the existence of others beyond Eden's boundaries. In essence, the story of others outside Eden opens a door to a grander vision of humanity, one that embraces both the spiritual significance of the covenant community and the diverse tapestry of human history unfolding across the earth. It pushes us to ask not only about where we began, but who else shared the stage, shaping the human story alongside Adam and Eve. The story of Adam carries profound spiritual and biological dimensions that reshape our understanding of humanity's beginnings. Rather than being the first biological human, Adam emerges as the initial spiritual representative, a chosen individual specially created for a covenantal relationship with God. His significance is not rooted in being the first Homo sapiens, but in his unique calling to embody humanity's divine image and moral responsibility. This distinction is echoed in the original Hebrew, where the term Adam functions with both collective and individual meanings. Genesis chapter 1 speaks broadly of humanity being created in God's image as a whole, male and female together, emphasizing the shared dignity bestowed upon all people. Conversely, Genesis chapter 2 zooms in on one person, Adam, who is fashioned from dust and appointed to serve a specific role within the sacred space of Eden. Adam's role extends beyond mere biological origin. He is called into priestly service, tasked with tending and guarding Eden, symbolizing a mediator standing between the divine and human realms. The Hebrew words used, avid asterisk, to serve or worship, and shamar, to keep or guard, highlight this priestly function, indicating that Eden was more than a garden. It was a cosmic temple, and Adam its first minister. This understanding aligns well with modern science, which reveals human origins from diverse populations rather than a single pair, reinforcing that Adam's importance is theological rather than genetic. His representative nature means his spiritual choices bore consequences for all humanity, setting the stage for a redemption narrative fulfilled ultimately in the figure of Jesus Christ, the last Adam, who restores the relationship between God and humanity. Thus, Adam stands as both an individual and archetype, a biological being and spiritual symbol, whose story invites us to see our identity not merely through ancestry but through our call to spiritual covenant and divine purpose within the cosmic narrative. Delving into the Hebrew language reveals profound layers within the story of humanity's beginning, especially concerning the term Adam. This word holds a remarkable dual significance. It functions both as a proper name, designating the individual man formed in Eden, and as a common noun referring broadly to mankind or humanity as a whole. The biblical narrative fluidly moves between these meanings, sometimes spotlighting Adam as a specific person and at other times addressing humanity collectively. This linguistic flexibility is more than a mere stylistic feature. It illuminates a deeper truth recognized by the biblical authors. Adam stands as both a particular individual and a universal representative. He embodies not just a historical figure, but a symbolic archetype reflecting the condition and vocation of all humankind. In Genesis 1, when it states that God created Adam in his image, male and female together, it speaks to the entirety of humanity. Conversely, Genesis 2 zooms in on a singular man, Adam, formed from the dust, placed in Eden, and entrusted with a unique mission. Understanding this dual usage reshapes our interpretation. Adam is not simply the first biological human, but the first appointed to a spiritual and covenantal role. His designation encapsulates both the collective identity of humanity and the special calling of the individual chosen to mediate between the divine and the earthly. Thus, the Hebrew term, Adam, entwines the universal with a particular, inviting a reading that sees the Genesis account as a theological narrative about divine purpose and human vocation, not merely a historical or biological account. Eden was far more than a mere garden. It functioned as a cosmic temple, a sacred space where heaven and earth converged. This understanding transforms the role of Adam from a simple gardener to that of a priest, a divine mediator tasked with bridging the realms of the celestial and the earthly. The Hebrew terms used to describe Adam's duties, Avad and Shamar, offer profound insights into his calling. While Avad often translates as to work or to till, it also carries the deeper meaning of serving or ministering, particularly in a priestly context. Similarly, Shamar means to keep or to guard, words traditionally associated with the protection of sacred spaces like the temple. Thus, Adam was entrusted not only with cultivating the land but with ministering to and safeguarding this divine sanctuary. The imagery of God walking with Adam in the cool of the day within Eden emphasizes the intimate fellowship intended within this cosmic temple. Central to this space stood the tree of life, symbolizing immortality and divine blessing, nourished by rivers that flowed outward to sustain the entire earth, signifying Eden's role as the origin point of both life and sacred presence. Recognizing Eden as a cosmic temple shifts our perspective on human origins and divine purpose. Adam was not just the first human, but the appointed priest of this holy sanctuary, whose responsibility transcended agriculture to include mediating the relationship between God and creation. This sacred role highlights a deeper theological narrative where Eden embodies the meeting point of divine authority and human stewardship, illustrating humanity's intended vocation as caretakers and spiritual guardians within a divinely sanctioned cosmos. The greater human story. While the narrative of Eden and the unique calling of Adam play a central role in understanding humanity's spiritual origins, the broader picture reveals that civilization and culture were flourishing beyond the boundaries of the sacred garden. The biblical text and ancient records hint at a world where multiple human populations existed concurrently, each contributing to the rich tapestry of human creativity and innovation. Consider the descendants of Cain, who, after being banished from Eden, settled in the land of Nod. There, he found a wife and built a city, a remarkable act of urban development that presupposes the presence of an existing community. These people were not primitive waterers, but engaged in sophisticated activities. Jabal pioneered pastoral life with livestock. Jubal introduced music through instruments, like the harp and flute, and Tubal-Cain mastered metalworking, crafting tools from bronze and iron. Their innovations point to a thriving culture with arts, trade, and technology, foundations of civilization that were evolving alongside the covenant community within Eden. This account challenges the notion that humanity's origins are confined solely to the line of Adam and Eve. Instead, It suggests a complex human story shared among various groups, all
bearing the divine image bestowed at creation. The divine imprint of creativity, morality, and spiritual awareness transcends a single lineage, affirming that the capacity for relationship with God and for cultural flourishing is universal. Moreover, the ancient world offers extraordinary archaeological discoveries, such as Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, Puma Punku in Bolivia, and the Great Pyramid in Egypt, that demonstrate advanced knowledge of architecture, astronomy, and engineering far earlier than traditionally expected. These sites indicate that diverse human societies, scattered across continents, possess sophisticated wisdom and organizational capabilities, likely remnants of the eclectic human story unfolding throughout history. In light of this, the sacred narrative of Eden should be seen not as an isolated Genesis, but as part of a grander cosmic drama, where diverse civilizations coexisted and evolved, each reflecting in some way the divine image, engaging with spiritual realities, and contributing to the unfolding human saga. The story of Adam and Eve is the story of God's intimate covenant with a particular people, chosen to serve as spiritual mediators and representatives. But the greater human story encompasses all of creation, revealing a vast, interconnected web of human experience, culture, and destiny. Across diverse cultures and ancient civilizations, echoes resound of a lost golden age, a time when humanity dwelled in harmony with divine presence. These narratives, spanning from the Sumerians to the Egyptians, Greeks, and Hindus, recount eras when gods walked among mortals, and the boundaries between heaven and earth were permeable. Such stories are more than mythical tales. They are collective memories preserved through millennia, hinting at a profound historical reality. The Sumerian legends speak of the Anunnaki, divine beings descending from the heavens to guide early civilization. Greek mythology reflects on a primordial golden age of harmony between gods and humans, while Egyptian traditions recollect divine rulership over mankind. Hindu cosmology describes cyclical epochs where divine beings manifested directly in the world. Despite varied cultural lenses, these accounts share striking commonalities: a perfect beginning disrupted by a catastrophic fall, resulting in separation from the divine realm. This widespread motif suggests a universal recognition of a primordial state of communion now forfeited. The biblical account of Eden, while unique in detail, aligns with these global memories, portraying Eden as a cosmic temple where divine and human realms intersected through the priestly function of Adam. His fall, therefore, was not merely a personal failing but a cosmic fracture, severing the sacred bond and closing access to the divine presence for all humanity. The universal consequences of this rupture help explain why disparate cultures remember a shared departure from paradise. This lost harmony, they convey, was a fundamental rupture between heaven and earth. Such recollections are not isolated but part of a grander, sacred narrative embedded in human consciousness, a testament to a fall that affected the entire human race and set the stage for the redemptive hope carried across generations and scriptures. The fall of Adam carries repercussions far beyond a simple personal failure. It represents a cosmic rupture that affects all of humanity. When Adam and Eve disobeyed God in the Garden of Eden, they not only betrayed a divine command, but shattered the sacred relationship established between heaven and earth. Their actions severed the priestly mediation role Adam held as humanity's representative before God, causing a breach in the cosmic temple, the spiritual connection that united the divine and human realms. This separation was not limited to the immediate family of Adam and Eve, but extended to the entire human race, symbolizing a universal spiritual crisis. The Apostle Paul later articulated this by noting that sin entered the world through one man, emphasizing Adam's role as the covenant head whose choices impacted all humanity. Thus, the fall initiated
initiated a pattern of spiritual alienation, a cosmic fracture that echoed through time, culture, and human experience. Moreover, the consequences of this event explain the persistent human longing for restoration, the widespread cultural memories of a lost golden age, and the universal search for meaning beyond mere survival. The fall set the stage for the unfolding redemptive narrative, wherein restoration of that broken relationship becomes the ultimate purpose not only for individuals, but for all creation. This profound impact of the fall underscores why redemption is necessary on a cosmic scale. The narrative of humanity's beginning reveals that our failure is not just individual misstep, but a disruption with universal consequences, one that requires divine intervention through a new representative. This theological perspective transforms our understanding of human history from mere biological evolution to a sacred drama of spiritual calling, failure, and hopeful restoration. Redemption through the last Adam. The story of humanity's fall is not the final word. Rather, it sets the stage for a profound redemptive narrative centered on the figure of Jesus Christ, who is often called the last Adam. This title draws a deliberate parallel between the first man placed in the garden and the one who would come to restore what was lost. Jesus Christ's role transcends merely undoing the failure of the first Adam. He inaugurates a new and eternal relationship between humanity and God, offering redemption that reaches beyond the original covenant line to encompass all people. Where the first Adam's disobedience introduced death and separation, the last Adam's obedience brings life and reconciliation. Through his perfect life, sacrificial death, and victorious resurrection, Jesus reopens access to the divine presence, the pathway to the cosmic temple, restoring the priestly role that was forfeited. The Gospel writers emphasize Jesus' genealogy tracing back to Adam, underscoring that his mission addresses the entire human family, not just a particular group. The Apostle Paul highlights this by contrasting the consequences of the first Adam's actions with the restorative power brought through Christ. Salvation is depicted as cosmic restoration, the healing of the breach between heaven and earth, making it possible for all humanity to once again walk with God. This restoration offered through the last Adam extends universally to all who bear the divine image, regardless of their ancestry or heritage. It fulfills the original divine intention that relationship with God and the calling to mediation are not confined to a single family line, but are available to all. In embracing the redemptive work of the last Adam, humanity is invited to participate in the ongoing cosmic restoration. This spiritual renewal realigns human knowledge, power, and wisdom with divine purpose, calling each person to respond personally to the invitation into the restored covenant relationship and to take their part in the unfolding story that began in Eden and will culminate in eternal communion with the divine. Throughout human history, the story isn't simply about a fall into sin. It's about the ongoing challenge to wield knowledge, power, and divine wisdom rightly. The ancient narrative reveals a profound struggle, a tension between possessing profound understanding and exercising it with moral responsibility. From the earliest days, humanity grappled with the gift and burden of knowledge. The pursuit of wisdom and mastery over the world introduced both incredible advances and devastating consequences. The story of Eden and its aftermath illustrates how knowledge, when separated from reverence and obedience, can lead to corruption and estrangement. This dynamic continues to resonate today. Technological progress and scientific achievements offer immense power, but they also demand careful stewardship. The fundamental question remains: will we use our knowledge and abilities to serve creation and uphold divine principles, or will we succumb to pride and misuse them for self-centered ends? The narrative of humanity thus becomes a cosmic drama, about the responsible use of power in alignment with divine purpose. It is a call to submit our understanding and strength to the wisdom that transcends us, to ensure that knowledge becomes a path to restoration rather than destruction. Ultimately, this story invites each person to reflect on their role in this ongoing struggle, to choose power exercised in humility and knowledge pursued with love. Such choices are not merely personal. They contribute to the grand tapestry of redemption and healing across all creation. The story we have uncovered does not end as mere ancient history. It extends into the present moment, calling each of us to respond. The grand cosmic narrative, begun in Eden and carried forward through millennia, continues with your choices, your actions, and your willingness to embrace a calling far greater than yourself. Every person carries the divine image, a spark reflecting the sacred. This is not a matter of ancestry or heritage, but a spiritual identity that invites participation in a restoration that spans all humanity. The same invitation once given to Adam still stands today, to serve as mediator, steward, and priest in the ongoing renewal of creation. The choice before you is profound and deeply personal. Will you accept the path of restoration, aligning yourself with the wisdom, love, and redemption made possible through the last Adam? Or will you follow the route of separation and brokenness that has echoed since that first rebellion? This decision transcends time and culture, shaping not only individual destiny, but the unfolding future of all creation. The cosmic temple is being rebuilt, the way back to communion opened anew, but entering through its gates requires a response. You are called not only to observe this forbidden history, but to embody its living truth. To embrace the invitation is to step into a story much larger than any one life, one that connects you with the divine purpose woven through all of humanity's past, present, and future. The garden may be lost to history, yet the opportunity to walk once again in the present of the divine remains. The cosmic temple beckons. The tree of life offers healing. The river of life flows on. The question remains, will you choose to answer the call? The forbidden history of humanity's beginnings uncovers an expansive cosmic narrative that transcends ancient events and reaches into our present and future. It reveals that we are all part of a grand story, carrying the divine image and sharing in the spiritual legacy of the first human called into covenant with God. This narrative is not only about understanding where we came from, but about embracing our role in the ongoing restoration of creation, a restoration that culminates in eternal communion between humanity and the divine. Whether your roots trace inside or outside Eden, the invitation to participate in this cosmic temple remains open. The choice is yours: to accept the calling, enter the story, and walk the path toward the city where God and humanity will dwell together forever. If this exploration into humanity's forbidden history has opened your mind and touched your heart, we invite you to join our journey. Subscribe to our channel to uncover more profound truths. Like this video to support our work, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to share this with someone curious about the mysteries of our origins and the cosmic story that connects us all. Together, we can continue to unravel the untold story of who we really are and where we are headed. Your participation matters. Step into the narrative and embrace the calling that transcends time.